Developed by Kenji Ino's Warp, D2 was released in 2000 for the Sega Dreamcast and featured the cast of digital characters Ino used in several games. But this time in a twisting and winding plot concerning aggressive plant people and snowy isolation, with a side order of themes. You play Laura Parton, a survivor of a plane crash in the wilds of Canada, who along with several other survivors and residents of the area are beset upon by vegetable people who pop out of the snow to try to bite your shins off. Laura can defend herself with an arsenal of weapons, scoot around on a snowmobile, and can even have a nice spot of sleep if she's getting tired. At heart, D2 is a survival horror game, emphasizing a feeling of isolation and tension despite its somewhat goofy combat sequences and unlimited ammunition submachine gun. There's a sensation when playing the game that while all of the individual aesthetic elements shouldn't work together, they do. On paper, getting awards for being good at hunting rabbits doesn't sound like it would work in a survival horror game. But it does. The unique blend of fixed-place first-person shooting, atmospheric first-person adventure elements, and outdoor exploration doesn't sound like it should gel, but it does. All of the elements in D2 are there for a reason, considered and measured and sprinkled in all of the right places by the masterful hands of Ino and company. The thing I love the most about D2 is that it's aggressively maudlin. There are very dark themes of neglect, drug abuse, interpersonal violence, loneliness, and suicide pervading a story that never lets up any of these concepts. You'll be thankful for the gun breaks, as the story becomes very oppressive and heavy if you become invested in it, as every character you talk to has something sinister going on in their lives tormenting them. The acting is generally of a surprisingly high standard as well, considering most horror games of this era seem to have been acted by sock puppets, but not D2. Why do I like this kind of atmosphere? Well, I like good films, and D2's cutscenes are executed like a director composing a good film, complete with these well-written, drama-heavy moments dripping with cinematic flair. The game comes on 4 GD-ROMs for a reason. The best part about the story is that you can't help but feel everything that's happening, and the setting the characters find themselves in is symbolic of something. Everything that happens represents something else, and you start to think, are they in the afterlife? Is this some kind of judgment? You just have to keep playing to find out. The presentation of D2 is also of a very high standard, with huge, beautiful landscapes that, while stark, are strikingly crafted. Indoor environments are also draped in detail, with competent texturing and solid lighting effects. Lip-syncing of characters can be a bit off at times, but it's ultimately not something that breaks your immersion too much. If I could criticize anything in D2, it's that the gameplay is remarkably simple. There are some puzzles, but they're never very complex. If you have the right item required to do something, Laura just knows to do it, which is a good and bad thing as it prevents you from thinking. Additionally, while the environments are large, abundant with animals and random fights and the occasional building, they are still just big, white expanses for the most part. D2 makes you feel. It lets you enjoy yourself, and it feels like it was crafted by not just a professional but an artist. The story doesn't pull any punches. The acting is decent, and the soundtrack and use of cinematic flair like piano sketches to punctuate on-screen action is genius. Some minor missteps in structure and puzzle design are easy to overlook in a package as special as this. A must-play game on the Dreamcast.